Welcome. So today I am going to be reviewing each of these part 1 and part 2 tier lists that I have made and going over the big old full reasons of why I placed them here or there. But yep, I'm only going to go over the reasons, so let's go over this. Skip over. I decided to we change up the tier lists and add games that I've recently played. Still trying to continue Alien Isolation. As for the Batman Arkham games, I'm still trying to continue Arkham Knight. These games are actually really fun. Give you the feeling of the Batman. Really good. I don't know why Arkham Origins is considered to be the weakest. It's actually not that bad. The gameplay is actually funner. The only disappointing thing is that the main villain is once again Joker. Arkham City did a lot of improvement. I will be ranking on Arkham Knight once I finish up the game. Arkham Asylum is really good. Good gameplay, good everything. The only thing I didn't like about Arkham Asylum is the boss fights. They're not really fun. Borderlands. Now, when it comes to Borderlands, yes, right there, perfect. The sequel is awesome, but I'll get to that. The original Borderlands, however, is just average. I like the gameplay. It's kind of clunky. Some of the worlds are fun to explore. The only character I had fun playing as was Brick. But the problem is with Borderlands 1 is that the characters are not very interactable and the main villain is very, very lame. Oh, and she gets killed off at the end of the game and we have a giant vault monster as the final boss. Yay. I just wish the game was a little bit more. That's where Borderlands 2 comes in. I mean, they improved everything. Better characters. My favorite is Axton. His turret power-up is so busted and awesome. I tried out Gunzerker and he's actually really good. Like, the double weapons. The main villain, Handsome Jack, is one of my favorite villains in the entire series. I mean, seriously, you can't deny that. Some of the side quests are fun. My most favorite one is the one where, like, you do Ellie side quest where you have two rival clans fight each other. I only wish in the final section, the final, like, side quest chapter, you kill both of them, but it is what it is. Still awesome. Borderlands 2 is awesome. The DLCs are fun. My personal favorites are Mr. Torg's DLC and Tiny Tina's Dungeon Keep DLC. My least favorite is Sir Hammerlock's DLC. His was boring. Doesn't stop Borderlands 2 from being perfect. As for Borderlands the Pre-Sequel, I think it was just it's a little bit better than the original, but not as good as the sequel. Because, gameplay's similar. Art style is actually fun. The characters, especially the main character, can actually talk, be more interactable. And this is the only Borderlands game where you play as Claptrap. I'm very surprised. And also, this is the Borderlands game where we can play as a clone of Handsome Jack. I actually really love that. And this game actually shows how Handsome Jack became our main villain in the sequel. Didn't like the villain in the pre-sequel. It's the same as the previous villain in the first game, except she isn't the final boss. We fight her in the boss fight, but not in the final area. No, and our final boss is another Guardian Vault monster. And he's even worse than the final boss in the original game. I don't like that boss fight. And what's worse is that in the raid boss side quest, you actually fight him again. And this time, he has twice as much health. So, yeah. 2 phases, 8 shields and health bars to bust down. And you got yourself one long final boss. Sheesh. Now, as for other games, I like Bioshock because the story, the style of the game, it may be first-person shooter. The sequel is actually pretty good because the main character is more interactable than the first game's main character, and also Bioshock Infinite. It was just okay. No need to talk about it. As for Borderlands 3, I'm going to continue that, but I need to, figure out the issue of why my game keeps crashing and lagging. Let me see. Star Wars The Force Unleashed on my other tier list. The original Force Unleashed is actually good. Fun fluid gameplay, a unique boss fights. The sequel downgraded because the boss fights are lame, the combat has been dumbed down, enemies don't have health bars, and there are less creative enemies. Like, you get a new enemy called an Acolyte that is immune to your force and lightning powers. Why? And your freaking lightning powers are less effective. My least favorite boss fight is the final boss, Darth Vader. Apparently this game is trying to continue with the good ending canon because, even if you get the bad ending in the first game, I mean, it doesn't even matter. It only follows up the good ending, but it doesn't fully explain, what actually happened at the end of the original game. It's confusing. As for certain other Star Wars games, Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2 are amazing, open world, old style level games. The sequel added more other gameplay of game modes and playing as Jedis. The first game just repeated the gameplay of capturing command posts and eliminating all enemy units just to win these lobbies. So, and the remakes are boring. The remake of Battlefront 1 doesn't even have a campaign. Seriously? Just because the original didn't have a campaign does not mean you couldn't even add one as well. But then again, it's made by the same developers who didn't even add Plants vs. Zombies 1, Garden Warfare 1, and Titanfall 1 to have a campaign. For the bad games, Killzone 1 wasn't fun. I wish they released the game on PlayStation 3. No, they released it on PlayStation 2, which I wouldn't mind, but with clunky controls and aiming? No thanks. I wish the Gears of War series ended on the third game. It felt like a perfect ending, but no, Gears of War 4 and 5, they suck. Just, the original 3 are better, don't bother with 4 and 5, they're a waste of time, boring stories, and not even fun. And the enemies are really spongy. Killzone 2 was just okay, and the third game is actually fun. I don't know if I'm one of those people who actually like Diablo 3. It's fun. Left 4 Dead are actually fun zombie games. The Call of Duty games are actually fun. Resident Evil 3 Remake is such a terrible remake. They cut it out nearly everything the original had and made it just a linear style campaign game that took me about 6 hours to beat. It's not even as hard as the original. Crackdown is boring, so I'm not interested in the third game. During this one whole entire section, I kind of pause because, I want to get everything ready. Metro is actually pretty damn fun. I'm still looking for new games to try out. I will get to them later on. I hate Minecraft. Minecraft's just terrible. It's boring. Not even fun. I'm interested to try out Darksiders 3 since I played the first two. The first game was actually fun. The second one was good, but the item equipping system kind of made the game a little less fun. Uncharted is actually really good, made by Naughty Dog. I've watched so many videos of Undertale and I want to try it out. Titanfall 2 is actually really good. I recommend it. My complaint with Titanfall 2 is that the game is a little short on the campaign and it's needs a little bit more time. At least survival mode was fun. Halo games are mixed feelings for me. Like, I can like the Halo games completely, but my problem is that some of the things in Halo just kind of don't really work. Hold on a second. Dead Rising 4 was just alright. And, Doom 2016 and Eternal are actually freaking awesome. If you're interested in violence, blood, gore, and awesome weapons, epic, like, soundtrack that's made by Mick Gordon, this game is, recommended for you. Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon is actually really awesome. I like the dialogues and the sections. My problem is that this is a DLC game, and it's really short. Yep. Fortnite sucks. Don't bother. Waste of your time. Waste of your life. Nothing is worth it. Some of these games have good gameplay mechanics, but I have my reasons on why I would like them or dislike them. My problem is that certain games are actually unique in a way. I like Halo 3 ODST mainly because the atmosphere and the soundtrack is actually very pretty. Bully is actually one of the best games I ever played. I've been wanting to try it out. The Jak and Daxter games, I played the first, second, third, and the racing game. I like the first and the third game a lot more. The sequel's fun. My problem is that certain missions are BS. Like, you got time limits, escort missions, and most of the missions have no checkpoints. And the boss fights weren't really that appealing. I mean, sure, the original game, they have amazing boss fights, but there's one boss I liked in the first game, and that was the final boss. Even Jak 3 had an awesome final boss. Jak X is actually pretty fun. It's a fast-paced racing game that is really chaotic, insane AI, can be tough to play through, but the controls are good. And most of these games are good for many reasons. Some of them are just average because I wish, a little bit more has been put into them, like Far Cry 3. I mean, the only thing that people talk about from Far Cry 3 is the main villain. The gameplay was just average. It wasn't very appealing, the main character wasn't very good. And sure, Voss was a good villain, but he isn't even the main villain. No, halfway near the end of the game, he gets killed and we kill him, the main character, through a quick time event. And then some other guy becomes our main villain, and I hate those plot twist villains. He's just ruin the last moments. At least with Borderlands 2, you actually get a chance to fight Handsome Jack, then the Guardian Monster, and then you can finally put an end to him. Even though the final boss fight in Borderlands 2 may have not been the greatest fight, but it's actually better than the original and the pre-sequel. Call of Duty games are fun, up until Black Ops 2 is where the developers basically just gave up. So, all these games are fun for many reasons and different appealing ways, and that's my thoughts on like some of them, just a review on my tier list. Anyway, I think that's enough for me. I will be on my way and continue making other music stuff. If you have suggestions, just tell me. And good night.